On February 28, 2025, as the war between Russia and Ukraine entered its third year, a very tense meeting happened between U.S. President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky at the White House.
President Trump wants peace. He remains committed to that. But President Zelensky either needs to change his attitude or perhaps he can't make a deal at all.
The meeting was supposed to talk about peace talks and a mineral agreement between the two countries. But it quickly turned into a place of strong disagreements.
You think that if you will speak very loudly about the war,
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No. You've done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
Trump accused Zelensky of playing with World War III and told him to give Russia some concessions to show he wanted peace. Trump also asked Zelensky to apologize for his actions, but Zelensky refused.
And all President Trump wants is peace. And in order to negotiate peace, both sides have to come to the table. Both sides have to talk. And both sides in a good deal usually walk away a little unhappy.
He said that time wasn't on their side and that U.S. help wouldn't last forever. Zelensky thanked the American people for their support and said the U.S. aid was a gift, not a debt. He refused to turn the aid into a debt. These strong words caused the cancellation of the mineral agreement and a planned press conference. J.D. Vance, vice president, also accused Zelensky of provoking the situation and questioned U.S. military support for Ukraine.
Do you think that it's respectful
I will answer.
to come to the Oval Office of the United
answer.
States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of
J.D. Vance warned that criticizing Trump publicly could hurt Ukraine. He suggested Zelensky choose better advisors who could help him understand how to work with the U.S. government. This advice came after Zelensky accused Trump of spreading false information from Russia. Vance said these kinds of public attacks on Trump could hurt Ukraine. Zelensky was asked if he would apologize for what happened in the meeting with Trump. He said, "I respect the President of the United States and the American people, and I thank them for their help. We must be open and honest, but I'm not sure we did anything wrong."
And I'm not sure that we did something bad. I think maybe sometimes some things we have to discuss out of media.
Zelensky rejected Senator Lindsey Graham's suggestion to resign, saying he could and wanted to fix his relationship with Trump. The world quickly reacted to this event. European leaders like French President Emmanuel Macron and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer showed strong support for Ukraine and condemned Trump's actions. Macron said any peace talks should involve both Ukraine and Europe, and support for Ukraine should be increased, so it's strong during negotiations.
We want peace, and I think the initiative of President Trump is a very positive one. But my message was to say, be careful, because we need something substantial for Ukraine, but for the security of Europe and France.
In Canada, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau expressed concern over Trump's behavior and continued to support Ukraine. Leaders from Lithuania, Poland, Spain, and Moldova also showed their support for Zelensky and Ukraine. In Russia, the news was welcomed. Dmitry Medvedev, the former president of Russia, praised Trump for his honest response to Zelensky, calling him a rude pig.
You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. It's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should.
He said Zelensky finally got what he deserved.
Well, we'll have to see, and it's up to President Trump with the next move that he makes. But I think he made it very clear today in asking President Zelensky and the Ukrainians to leave the White House.
Maria Zakharova, a Russian official, said Trump and his vice president showed restraint, and that it was surprising they didn't slap Zelensky. Marco Rubio, U.S. Secretary of State, said Zelensky should apologize for making the White House meeting a disaster for himself. He added, He didn't need to go there and act so hostile.
The president's a deal maker. He's made deals his entire life. You're not going to get people to the table. And so you start to perceive that maybe Zelensky doesn't want a peace deal. He says he does, but maybe he doesn't.
In Asia, the reactions were different. China called for everyone to stay calm and work toward a peaceful solution. Japan also expressed concern about increasing tensions and stressed the need for stability. After the meeting, Zelensky shortened his visit to Washington and went back to Europe to discuss the situation with European leaders. In a meeting with Stormer in London, he emphasized how important European support for Ukraine was and called for more unity against Russia.
In the last 3 years, European countries have provided a lot of aid, a lot of money, a lot of training, a lot of capability to Ukraine, and we should acknowledge that. I do think that generally Europe needs to do more in its own defense and security.
The event was widely covered in the US media. The Washington Post said Trump acted like a mafia boss from The Godfather, not a US president. The paper warned Trump, saying, "Appeasing dictators never works," and that Trump should treat Putin the same way he treated Zelensky. The Wall Street Journal said Putin won in the Trump-Zelensky showdown and criticized J.D. Vance for trying to cause a public argument. The paper asked, why did Vance provoke this situation? It said Zelensky didn't start the war with Russia, and he shouldn't have to put up with public humiliation. The New York Times said this was an unprecedented public clash. It said this kind of disagreement between a U.S. president and a foreign leader was unusual. Trump and Vance criticized Zelensky for not appreciating U.S. help enough and tried to force him to accept a peace deal set by the U.S. Fox News said, "Some believe Europe should step in. The world is now wondering how the peace talks will go, and if the two leaders can fix their relationship so that the U.S. can play the role of peace mediator. Some think Europe should step in to end the conflict, while others believe Zelensky should either fix the damage from the argument or step down." Dear friends, that's the end of today's program. Until next time, goodbye.